Hello, welcome back. I am thirteene doing another video for Squirrel Dealer, and despite how poorly Thick Is It Control went yesterday, I'm a sucker for big splashy things and drawing cards and activating planeswalkers. And well, just about everybody's been doing the Fires of Invention planeswalker deck that I watch, so whatever. We're going to be doing it tonight too. If you're unfamiliar with this, Fires of Invention is a card that's kind of been doing some fun stuff in Standard, but has also been making waves in Pioneer. You can only cast spells during your turn and cast no more than 2 spells each turn, and then you may cast spells with converted mana costs less than or equal to your number of lands without paying their costs. So this is a really good, easy way to cheese out things that you could originally cast for. So you can multicast or cast very difficult things. And the very difficult thing that first came to mind was Bolas God Pharaoh. So the original version of this is 5 colors, but we're actually slimming down and going to 3. Bolas God Pharaoh has all the loyalty abilities of all the other planeswalkers and is just quite powerful altogether. He can make somebody lose the game. He gets to just remove something. He draws cards. Just everything great. And then Bantu's Last Reckoning is the other reason why we're focusing on this. So destroy all creatures for 3 mana. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step, but we have Fires of Invention, so it really doesn't matter. Really hoping that the Bantu's Last Reckoning comes in clutch versus creature decks, even though we're only running 2 copies and 1 in the board. What are we doing with our lands, though? Easy activated abilities. So Tasigur, very powerful, 4 mana, mill 2, and then your opponent puts something in your graveyard back into your hand. You use Delve to hopefully delve away some bad stuff, then activate Tasigur and force them to give you gas. Then we have Castle Vantress. You can pay 4 mana to scry 2. And Castle Locklane, 3 mana, draw a card, and then you lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. But in all honesty, that's not that big of a deal because we're probably going to be empty-handed by free casting 2 spells a turn. So that's the plan. Then Bolas does have the activated abilities of every other planeswalker on the battlefield, so we're just running some very powerful planeswalkers, Chandra Torch of Defiance, Liliana, the Royal Scions. I've been putting this in the last couple of decks. I'm not 100% sure on it. It's a 3 mana planeswalker that loots, and in a format with Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise, I'm a fan of looting, but the other +1 doesn't really benefit with our creature matchups. But that's the deck. It is a little bit more on the expensive side, but we're running Dreadbores, ton of removal, a couple of cantrips to fuel our yard, and hopefully just going to be taking full advantage of the fact that we can cast stuff for crazy cheap. But let's take a look here. We have Dreadbore on 2 or Dreadbore on 2, depending on how opponents set up, and we have a Fires of Invention. It's slightly on the slow end, but we have essentially everything that we want to go off, and all of our lands will come in on tap thanks to this Watery Grave, and right off the bat, we're looking at the Green Stompy deck. So Experiment 1's going to grow pretty quickly. This is the opponent's Hardened Scales deck. They're going to be running things like Sterfarin and the 3 mana 4/4 that grows. Yeah, basically what's happening is I'm going to need to remove creatures ASAP or potentially draw into my Bantu's Last Reckoning as soon as possible. But getting rid of this guy because he represents 4 power a turn, and if they have a way to grow it, like Blossoming Defense, it ends up just doubling whatever is attacking with it. It does mean that this Experiment 1 is going to be hard to get rid of. If we top deck a Bantu's Last Reckoning, it feels bad, but right now I'm taking 3, putting me to 15, and I'm likely going to be taking at least 9 next turn, so yeah. Bringing in all their creature removal from the side. Okay, well, I know that I'm going to be opting, so I'm going to opt first off of one of the lands that generate colors I already have. And our 6-drop Fud of, yeah, that's not happening. Well, there's a Torch of Defiance, which means I can at least kill this next turn, regardless of how I draw. Yeah, turn 3 Search for his content looks a little silly when opponents just made, like, they've literally curved out as well as they can. I think Gorvo is the name of the 3 mana guy that's 4/4 with counters and grows whenever something else green enters. Alright, well that land is a giant growth, so if they're on nothing, they'll sack it. Otherwise, this might be a Coco. Nope, they're going. Taking 11. What do I have? I can draw a Brazen Borrower and bounce the Experiment 1. but that means I can't Chandra. So I can Bantu's Last Reckoning. I really don't want to reveal that to my opponent, but what is my out here? Let's take a look at the deck list for just a second. That can be a Last Hope, isn't going to do anything. Bantu's Last Reckoning will somewhat clear the board. They'll only have a 1/1 experiment one left. Yeah, so I think we're looking for just Bantu's Last Reckoning. Well, there's the Brazen Borrower. I think I'm just dead, though. So, Fires of Invention actually counts all cards cast, including itself. So, I can Brazen Borrower, bounce the Steel Leaf, expect to take 3 and barely survive, but they'll just replay the Steel Leaf and grow it to a 4/4, and I die. I don't have enough to bounce, and then this can't even block stuff on the ground. I can Chandra roast it off the Fires of Invention, and hopefully they have nothing else. They already cashed in the Oasis, so they might not. There is a real cost to showing them what we're doing when we're already pretty much dead on table, but I think that this is the best that we can do. This just means that they get to bring in their Naturalize effects. They might have already for the search for Azcanta. It's not likely, but they might have. Well, opponent's stopping to read Fires of Invention, so... Man, we were so close to stabilizing. If we actually would have been on the play, we probably would have been fine. So Chandra comes out, roast Steel Leaf. Then, if they can't kill me, they might go after Chandra. Then I'll have Brazen Borrower set up, and we'll be in an okay spot. But if I don't die, Azcanta could be pretty good. Alright, yep, you got it. Boss main defense gives +2/+2, so they're swinging for lethal. Unmoored Ego is in here for combo decks. Kefnet's Last Word is hilarious for stealing creatures. I actually think this might be relevant because I can steal Gorvo if he becomes large. But we're bringing in the other Bantu's Last Reckoning. Murderous Rider's more removal, but he's a little expensive. These were almost the Stomp Giants. And I was like, I think I would prefer the ability to hit anything else than have a follow-up creature. Jace can shrink attacking creatures, so I know Jace is coming in. Niv Mizzets are expensive and they're cute. Like, they actually work pretty well with their strategy, but I don't think they're going to be great here long term. I can also see going down a dig. Having 2 Delve is probably a sweet spot when I don't fill it amazingly well. Search for Azcanta on 2 probably means that I'm losing. The Kefnet's Last Word's looking pretty good, and then I guess just one more removal spell. I do want one Azcanta because the flip version of the land actually is an amazing mana dump. Just absolutely amazing if we have an active Fires of Invention. I mean, otherwise we're on like Oath of Lily to make them sack, Wild Slashes, Dreadbores. We are pretty stocked for removal, so... Yeah, I did say when I kept that last hand that if opponent's on something aggressive, it's going to be a little punishing. We were very close to stabilizing, though. There could be a world where I want Thoughtseize, but I think the 2 life loss is more relevant than potentially snagging something like a Yorvo. So, not going to really be taking that. So their Murderous Rider's looking a little tempting, but I don't know what I'd take. It'd probably be the Kefnet's Last Word, but I am super tempted into just stealing something like a giant creature and just being able to block with it and shutting them off from attacking. Like, if that last turn, if we would have just stolen the Steel Leaf Champion, we would have had a forever blocker and they wouldn't be able to get in. We are playing first. I mean, we have a Liliana, 2 board clears. I really need to find another black mana, but that's probably possible. I don't like how slow our mana base is, and this also means that I'm putting this Blood Crypt into play tap since I'm not going to have a turn 2 play at the moment. If they run out Experiment 1, I could always kill it with a trigger to grow on the stack. Shaper's Sanctuary. Alright, well, they'll be able to draw cards. Or ability. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That makes Liliana significantly worse. Okay. I don't mind them drawing cards. I think we do stabilize off better than they do, and I'd rather just get rid of the Pelt Collector. I think long term that's going to be a problem, and oh boy, we need that land. We really need that land. Bantu's Last Reckoning doesn't target, and it should buy us a lot of time if they commit out pretty hard. And if they have multiple 1-drops, that's exactly what they're going to be doing. One more. Do it. Yes! Take 2, nuke the board. Come on, black. Untap black. Actually, all of our black is untapped. Untap black. Freaking A. Alright, well, we're taking a fairly large beats here. If they have a Steel Leaf champion, it's going to be very, very big. Okay. I still get to nuke their board, but we're going to be taking 11 here and go down to 7. If I find a Blood Crypt or a Watery Grave, I'm going to be taking 2 more just to Bantu's Last Reckoning. But opponent only has 1 card in hand, and I have some great stuff here. Yep, and that's not going to do it. Man, that was very punishing. How far away were we from a black source? 2 turns? That's heartbreaking. I'm actually curious. How many black sources do we have? Basic Swamp, 2 Catacombs is 3. Okay, well, we got our next match, so we'll just head over there. But I am curious, so I'm stealing this window. This hand is fine. I can cast everything in it. This won't come into play untapped, though. So, actually, yeah, it will by turn 3. That's fine. So, we'll keep. I have 9 black sources. That might be a little low. Fumarole, your go. Fabled Passage. I think the most represented deck with Fabled Passage at the moment is it Phoenix? Could be White Weenie? Oh no, this actually looks more like it would be, I was about to say, Orzhov Planeswalkers. But Mardu, a little surprised there wasn't a young Pyromancer there. I could actually see a Monastery Mentor coming down next turn. There is a world where I might want to bounce something on their turn, but I think Search for Azcanta really helps us out, and we are looking for a Fires of Invention and 1 more land at this point, so let's hopefully filter some draws. Anguished Unmaking is a card that could potentially be played on my opponent's side. I'm really expecting a Monastery Mentor here. Alright. Not sure why they're shocking. This probably sounds like K-Command to me. Yeah, what would be... Could be Boros Charm, I suppose. I think Burn in this format's still Boros. Yeah, I think I want to bend that. If they haven't shown us any creatures and they've been shocking to hold up mana, it's probably relevant to hang on to here. And do I want a Lily? If I Lily, they flash something in. Yeah, that's fine. I just want to get a Planeswalker out and start applying pressure. We don't run counter spells, so the longer that we're able to apply pressure with Lily's Ultimate, the better. And I now have 2 bounce spells in hand. I do need to find another blue source, but I should be able to tempo them pretty hard. Magma Jet. Yep, that looks like Burn to me. So, potentially Hasty Thing? I don't know. This looks like it's got to be a Chandra. I'm also a little surprised that they had Magma Jet without a way to kill Lily here, so I could potentially see a K-Command, kill Lily, discard. Oh, look at that. This is going to be a 2-for-1, and there's not much removal that hits for 4 in this format. That's not a roast for Siege Rhino, so I really want this Nicol Bolas. This Nicol Bolas is kind of okay. My Brazen Borrower won't be able to block anything on the ground, and they're really looking like burn. I assume they're the Young Pyromancer Monastery Mentor deck. I guess that means I'm just going to discard a Brazen Borrower and hope to find a land off as Kanta, bare minimum. Well, look at that. Our deck is being kind to us today. Now let's just go ahead and 2 for 1. Discarding Sorin. So yeah, this is Mardu tokens. And they had a Chandra. Alright, well, good on them. So, a little bit of ways from flipping this is Kanta. If I find a land here, Nicol Bolas gets to come down and have some shenanigans. No. 100% want this Tasker. Tasker is an amazing card. So, this opt is going to be free, because I'm going to be delving it away. Do not need another board clear. They are tokens, but that's probably fine. Another land drop's perfectly acceptable. Now, if they're going to give me something back at the moment, it's either going to be Liliana or Bolas. I want to hold up the Petty Theft. So, if they're tokens, Liliana's going to do more damage long term. Nicol Bolas is a straight 2 for 1, but I think that Liliana is just the better card to keep in reserves. I am actually significantly further away from my search for Kanta here, but like another Chandra can't hit Tassiger. They need to be on Dreadbore, or geez, like Fry doesn't even hit it, and that'd be a sideboard card anyway. I guess Roast could hit it, but again, probably sideboard. Oh, that's disappointing. I assume they have to cast that here unless they're trying to cast something like an Elspeth, but they don't have 6 mana, so it could have been Big Sorin. I'm just letting them have free reign. I assume that they were going to take Bolas, and I don't necessarily want to bounce their Chandra, so putting Brazen Borrower in the yard doesn't mean a whole lot. Wow. They have had some pretty good runners here. Okay, I don't really want to bounce with Brazen Borrower yet. That will be a consideration at upkeep depending on what I draw. Oh, that's adorable. I'm not going to be able to do anything with him yet. And that's so much better when I have a Fires active. Lame. Alright, so activating Castle Locklane is going to cost 4 mana in total. I'll still have 2 up for Petty Theft, so yeah, let's shock this into play. Opponent's not pressuring our life total yet. Leave up all of our colors and found another land. This card advantage is a problem long term, but I kind of want to force opponent into Thought Seizing again or something. Like, Petty Theft can be really good against any of their token generators. Ugh. Alright, well, maybe should have hit Chandra then. I don't know. Them hitting Search for Kanta is super bad for us, but how was I supposed to know that they're going to flip into Nahiri? If they are a Nahiri deck, I assume that they are on Worldspine Worm as a finisher. Jeez, all of the lands this time around. You miss once and then the deck overcompensates. That is a Murderous Rider that I mistapped off of. Should have realized that was an out. Alright, well, the current plan right now is Brazen Borrower in step so I can start applying pressure to the Planeswalkers. Unfortunately, Chandra's going to come down with more loyalty, but Murderous Rider can chip it out after we've tempoed a little bit. Alright. Well, land in hand means opponents flooding out just about as hard as we are. Going after mana, so they might have another 4-drop. And that's a Sorin. Expecting a token here? Yep. Opponent's tapped out, so the timing on this really doesn't matter. I got my own Chandra. So, how much do we have in total? 8. That means I can Chandra, nuke the token, Murderous Rider, probably their Chandra, and kill Sorin. Yeah, I'm on board. That seems great. Tap like that. We will Murderous Rider. Oh my gosh! Undo, undo, undo! Freaking A. Well, that's tilting. I clicked on Murderous Rider instead of Swift End. So, playing a little bit of catch-up here off of that. That means Chandra gets to live. At least Soren's going to be going down. I'm assuming Chandra's going to kill the Murderous Rider. Nahiri's probably going to exile the Brazen Borrower, and then we're back on Castle Locklane to draw. Having our own active Chandra is pretty good, though. Fires will let us cast anything Chandra exiles. Alright, they're just looting. Discarding Obsidat. That's kind of cute. Nahiri bringing in an Obsidat will permanently put him on the battlefield. I also need to be aware of this Drain for 2. Obsidat returns at every upkeep with haste, and just being a flyer means it's going to be a little harder to cast. Opponent had a swamp, so we go down to 10. Alright, what else you got going on? We've seen so many lands. Wow. They kept their board clears in. Sorry, game 1. They kept their board clears in hand. They could have looted those away a couple of times. Oath of Jace. So it's going to be draw 3, discard 2. I get my choice at the top. Seems pretty good. That should hopefully be a Fires. I don't know. They have a Thoughtseize in their deck. So it's going to be 4 to activate. I'm going to be 1 mana shy to Chandra and activate Castle Locklane at end step. If I cast the Fires here, I won't be able to cast anything off of Chandra. Maybe let's take a peek at what she's going to give us. A land. All right. There might have been a moment when I was supposed to Wandering Fumarole hit one of the Planeswalkers for 4. Because both are going to be close to ulting. Worldspine Worm will kill me. Obsidat will end up hitting me for 7 and then put me down to 9. Just pulled so many lands this game. Alright, well, opponent's deck is almost as gritty as ours, if not more. Dreadhorde General is pretty efficient at just clogging up the board and getting card advantage. They will create a 2/2 here, which stops the Wandering Fumarole from coming in. Just the way the deck's been treating us, I could totally see us top decking a Dig Through Time. Just because we can cast it and it'll take up one of our casts. So definitely need to ping Chandra, looking for Dreadbore or Murderous Rider. Royal Scions, not really what I'm looking for at the moment. And a land. Okay, show me Dreadbore. Honestly, Wild Slash kind of does it. Okay, that's fine. Let's cast with Fires of Invention. It's going to make them sack their zombie and they can draw a card, but that means that my Wandering Fumarole is going to be able to get in. Yep. And then I guess we'll see if they have removal for this. So I need a red and one more. Let's just make it a 4/1. Not actually go through the steps of combat in case they have removal for it. Yep. So unfortunately, there's no way for me to save this. If I switch the power and toughness, it will go to a 4/1 and then revert back over, so it's just dead. No amount of activating will undo this guy on the stack. Then I get to activate Castle Locklane and then cast one more card with Fires of Invention. But that's pretty much going to be the game. I will make opponent actually activate Nahiri and see if I can tell a little bit more about their deck, but I assume it's Worldspine Worm. Obsidat also is kind of a giveaway here. I'm not going to show them opt. There's not much value in not doing it, but Fires will only let us cast during our turn, and that'll be my second spell. So let's see what they get with Nahiri, although Chandra ult just kills us. Probably would have been a different game if I wouldn't have misclicked my Murderous Rider, but I mean, we had plenty of outs. We got very far into our deck. We had 2 more Murderous Riders to get into, 2 Dreadbores. Yep, just activate Nahiri. I want to see what you're getting. Bye, Chandra, you tried. Alright, and Chained to the Rocks. So most of their creature removal's probably coming out from likely more threats. This is 100% a matchup for Thoughtseize. The Murderous Riders come back in. Kefnet doesn't allow me to steal Planeswalkers. It does let me take enchantments, which I don't think that they're on fires themselves. Rao's going to be plenty of card advantage in the mirror. Ashiok's going to take most of their cards away. We're going to go down a lot of our removal as well. Wild Slash can hit Chandra after it minuses, but that's likely not good enough in my opinion. Our Nicol Bolas here will just be fantastic. If I wouldn't have been the one on turn 3 off the Search for Azcanta, we would have had one active for most of the game that could activate off of our Planeswalkers and theirs. Brazen Borrower feels a little bad here. I don't know if I actually want this. Bouncing the creature they get off of Nahiri might be good. I imagine if you're running Nahiri, you have to be running 4 of them. That's the way the old Jeskai decks used to work. Bantu's Last Reckoning can get cut. I still think that they can board into a token plan after the fact. Like, they had Sorin. I imagine they have to have, like, Monastery Mentors. I don't think Young Pyromancer is as likely because they showed us so many Planeswalkers, but I only saw Obsidat from them, and Bantu's Last Reckoning can't hit that. I'm going to be greedy and not bring that in. Jace can factor Fiction for card advantage, so that's probably fine. Last Hope is probably bad. Oh no, if they wouldn't have actually burnt Lily, we would have won with the ultimate pretty quickly. I could actually see these being active in this game, so I don't want to trim Niv just because it's fun and greedy and expensive. Maybe it's just an opt in Royal Scions. I think the looting is pretty valuable here, but it just seems very unimpactful, and we brought in a lot of cards. Alright, we will take the play. So we get to 4 ourselves on turn 1, but we have a lot of the cards that we care about in lands. Perfectly acceptable. Yes. Really excited to see Dreadbore. It feels pretty impactful for actually being able to destroy a Planeswalker on their side of the field. Maybe Wild Slash might have been worth it if they decide to try to take our Fires of Invention with Nahiri, or if they Vampire Sorin, I could just chip off a Planeswalker. There might be a couple of situations where that's beneficial, but I think our Planeswalkers are probably higher value than theirs. Opponent is currently at 5 cards. I think a Jace Factor Fiction is just so much higher quality than slamming a Nahiri and looting once. Like, if that's the plan, then we get the Royal Scions, which are just better. And the Mulligan 5 gets punished by the Thoughtseize. They get Duress and Chandra. Okay, well, Duress it is. I'd rather they not see my hand. And they're quite a ways away off the Chandra. They do have lands of their own, but oh, they couldn't cast the Duress? Maybe that wasn't worth it. There's a Fires of Invention. Alright, I'm looking for another Thoughtseize here. I don't think a second one is worthwhile. If they answer the first one, we can probably just fairly cast our spells on their mulligan and come out ahead. Alright, there's a Sacred Foundry. That's a Ral. I like Ral. It's felt great every time he's hit the battlefield that I've ever cast him. 5 mana is a lot, but he actually does do a ton by himself. Alright, so there's a Sacred Foundry. There's the mountain that we knew about. So opponent has 3 unknowns in hand. There's our Niv. Okay, well, everything in hand is sorcery speed anyway, so let's just fires. If they have Nahiri, that's fine. We'll just untap and Ral and then start dreadboring their creatures off. We also just very drastically shouted to our opponent that we have nothing that's a 4-drop that's worth casting at the moment. Taking away the duress, they probably have no idea what's going on, but if we don't follow this up with anything, it means that we either can't cast it or it's just not worth casting. I do like this swamp, though. It's from Vintage Masters. That might be an online-only one. Well, next turn we get to Ral, Dreadbore, and then start activating Castle Locklane after we throw down a free Niv. That's awesome. This Niv has the ability to ping to draw a card for 2 mana. So I can just start ticking Planeswalkers and drawing cards if I hit the opponent, and we'll free cast it. Like, oh my gosh, I really want to Niv with a Fires of Invention out. That was a goal for tonight. Do something very greedy. Check. I'm assuming opponent's stumbling here. They don't have the 4th land. Oh, they do. They're trying to figure out if it's worth hitting the fires, I guess. Alright, that's the Chandra. Don't know what the other 3 cards are. But I will be dreadboring this. I don't like the card advantage that it generates or the fact that it can get the opponent enough mana to cast things like Big, Sorin, or Elspeth. I'd rather they just stumble up until the fact that they get 6 mana. They also haven't shown us double white yet, so maybe they don't have Elspeth. Not this time. You got a little lucky last time, but not this time. And that is a Brazen Borrower. Alright, well, first things first. Cast with Fires of Invention. We're going to see if we find anything better. Let's look. Ooh, that's a Murderous Rider and another Fires of Invention. Well, they didn't Nahiri and take our fires, so I assume they don't have Nahiri. That might be a greedy assumption, but we'll go ahead and take the Murderous Rider. Then I think I'd rather Swift End, making sure we Swift End this time. Chandra. I have really been liking it, Alpha Titan. Like, it's been slow. I've been able to play really, really greedy things. Like, did you take a look at this deck list? We're running both Niv Mizzets, and we're not even a dragon deck. We're not running new Sarkhan. Like, yep. I can only cast sorcery speed, so no interactions here. There have been some mildly annoying things. The mono black aggro deck is very, very fast, powerful, and it grinds better than most of my greedy unfair decks. So, like, that's there. The ban lists have been... It took the Niv. Makes sense. The ban list coming frequently has actually been fantastic. They have shown that they have the metadata to actually support banning once a week, which is just great. Like, really, really appreciate the fact that they're dealing with problems. I actually should have activated this before Chandra. I've been talking and not necessarily on top of it. I am going to take Oath here, but if by activating Ral I got more information, so I might have been able to cast these things differently. Opponent's plus won't do anything for them next turn, and if they minus to cash out for another vampire, they're done. Yep, and that's there. Well, our deck actually did what it was supposed to there, and that was pretty great. Let's see. Yeah, those are just so awkward in hand. I think I'd rather have the ability to finish off a Sorin or Nahiri or something with Wild Slash in that spot. If you've seen any of the Pioneer decks that I've been running, though, like, I was just running a very greedy is it control list, and we ended up going like 2-3, but it was insanely greedy. Like it was probably the greediest deck I've played in a long while. But it was like a ton of fun, and I had the ability to run through it because the format's not solved. It's not atrociously fast. Like I think that Pioneer's been hitting a sweet spot where I just really enjoy playing it, and I've been playing off-meta modern decks and brews, and you get punished super hard. And the only deck that feels punishing at the moment is it Phoenix, and it's not like that's overly punishing. It just you have to answer the thing in the ice, which is a little hard in this format, but I mean you have to take some concessions. This hand is a little flooded, but I'm going to be able to tap land into Dreadbore if I need to. Op's going to find us some action. I do very much think that lands are going to be a problem for this deck. We are running 24, which is slightly high, but being a Fires deck, it just you need to have your land count pretty high, and we can cast things like Dig Through Time by actually paying their delve cost and not using Fires to cast it. But I want to be sure that if I hit a Dragon God or a Niv Mizzet, I can cast it. As far as Paper Pioneer, I did already buy my Castle Lock Lanes. I feel like that is a very powerful Magic card, and it's going to be seeing a lot more play. I actually just watched Mingucci play against Castle Vantris in Legacy, and they were activating it and scrying through their deck. Even as a Delver deck, they were just using it to filter their draws and get to the right cards in a grindy matchup. And yeah, Castle Lock Lane just feels like it's going to be everything that I want it to be with card advantage and all that. That was a perfect draw after a Thoughtseize. Let's hope opponent doesn't have more discard. I also bought foiled treasure cruises because all of my decks are mostly foiled out. I was going to buy Dig Through Times, and then they immediately spiked $20 while they were in my shopping cart. I did actually want Fabled Passages in this list for Dig Through Time, but couldn't find room for them being 3-color and all. I'm opting in case I find... Yeah, that's actually okay. So I'm going to need double black for this, which means I can't Wandering Fumarole again, but I can tap land. I wanted a threat, and potentially finding another 1-drop like another Opt means that I could run it out last turn. Looks like we are playing against Super Friends again. My biggest problem is when I'm doing so much content for Squirrel Dealer, I find it really, really hard to want to go to paper events. Like, it's really hard to consider going to F&M when I'm actually, like, trying to brew together deck lists over the weekend and streaming on Monday and Wednesday, or Sunday and Wednesday. I do really like the idea of playing this in paper. I think most people should wait to invest until January when they've said that they're going to slow down on the bans, but I could fully see investing in paper and going to F&M every week to play this format. It's nice and slow. It's not solved yet. It seems to be at a pretty decent power level aside from Oko. I don't necessarily think Oko needs to be banned at the moment, but yeah, it's just he's a little out of the scale of what's been printed recently. But everything seems pretty good. The mono black deck does seem like it grinds a little too hard for an aggro deck, and I think that's my only complaint about the format at the moment. And that's really saying something. Like, I feel like every modern deck I go up against, it's like, oh, not Tron, not Dredge. Like, I do actually have most of these cards already. I stopped playing Standard around Zendikar when, like, Khans was just a fantastic format. Oh, I know what opponent this is. I need to stop talking to you, Alpha Titan. I'm getting confused. We're Swift Ending here, and then we're going to Fires of Invention. Yeah, this is the same Mardu Super Friends opponent. I don't know why I was struggling with that so much. Yeah, let's just Fires. This limits what we can do in the future, but I'm going to route the Murderous Rider here so that I can actually start gaining life back and have a creature on the table. This might eat a Chandra next turn if opponent has another red source, but... the speed that the Green Devotion deck gets out Ugin, it kind of feels like Tron, but at least you can Pithing Needle Ugin, or you have to give them multiple turns to get up to Ulamog. Jeez, what is going on here? All the lands. All right, Mr. Vampire, or Murderous Rider, get on in there. I'm expecting the opponent to block and then burn the Murderous Rider, which is fine. Because this can hit a Planeswalker, I am 100% waiting, and I'm 2 mana away from being able to cast Dig Through Time using my graveyard, so we're just going to ship it back. Opponent gets to answer this Murderous Rider, and then hopefully untap and play a Planeswalker. I can Swift End. You're not... Okay, there it is. I do really like the fact that Coco is in Pioneer as well. Like, that was one of my favorite standard decks, so you can actually build a really fun Coco list. Like, you can technically do the Vanifar shenanigans that are a ton of fun, and, like, there's a pretty wide assortment of combos out there if you actually want to play it. Alright, that's an Ahiri. They're going to hit my fires, which is fine, because we're going to Murderous Rider and then hopefully Dig Through Time to find another one. I could also see them just leaving the fires. It's not like we're applying a ton of pressure at the moment. Yeah, they're just leaving the fires. That also makes me think that they don't have a ton of gas in hand. Alright, you get my Dig Through Time. Murderous Rider survives. Because they're trying to get a creature on the table. That's why they are looting with Nahiris. They actually want to get up to ulting. The lands! And none of them are castles! Not a single one of them are castles! Alright, well... let's cast this for free, and then we're going to attack for 4. You, and you. Which means we get to put a tap land into play and make you a 4/1. I need to find a source of card advantage here. Jorian almost made it into this list as a fun of, so whenever you cast 2 spells, you draw a card, and just make sure you could always cast 2 cards a turn, but I figured he was a little too squishy for this format, but... oh my gosh, need some card advantage. Interesting. So they must have some really expensive stuff in their hand. Search for Ascant is fine. We are a little ways away from flipping it, but it should be able to filter us out of some of these lands. K-Command. Okay. I'll discard the land that comes into play that I have to pay life for. Again, can't save this. The trigger's on the stack to switch, so no matter what I do, it's going to die. I think I want to keep this Drowned Catacombs for discard coverage. Just make sure that they can't K-Command me in my draw step. And Alpha Titan, it's turn 3 card, not turn 4. Turn 4 is Ugin or Ulamog. Okay. I really wanted to run a list with 4 Siege Rhinos and 4 of this guy. It just seems like it'd be so awesome having 8 ETB effects that drain for 3. Opponent left up red. Oh my gosh. I don't think I can keep Castle Vantress. How many lands have we seen? We've seen 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of 24? Can I take a turn off to start filtering my draws? Opponent hasn't shown me a Field of Ruin yet, so this should help me scry into real action. Actually, if I bin this, I get to flip his Kanta. I don't know why I thought about that for so long. Thoughtseize. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to be able to cast 2 spells this turn, so... yoink. And let's activate his Kanta, hopefully find a Planeswalker. Dig Through Time is fine. The second Fires doesn't really benefit me a whole lot here, and I can only cast things at sorcery speed, despite the fact that this is an instant. So, just ripping this off now. I am trying to delve in a way that I'll care about what Tasker gives me if I find him. Do I have the 6 lands? I have the 6 lands! We're taking a div! We can do it! And then probably the Chandra. If I would have not Thoughtseized, I could have actually slammed something here. The problem with that deck, though, Alpha Titan, is I'd have 12 4-drops, which means I have to run multiple mana dorks, which basically would put me in the food deck to actually run Gilded Goose to have the number of colors. All right, well, opponent was done. So we got stomped by Mono Green here, and then we took Mardu Super Friends. Overall, though, the deck has been a ton of fun. Like, absolutely just slamming Planeswalkers, casting them for free, activating our lands. I've been enjoying it. Let's go ahead and update the match record. I'm so bad at that. All right, this is going to be a tapped Castle Locklane into Brazen Borrower. We're on the draw to try to filter into a red source. I'd love a red source for this Wild Slash, but yeah, I mean, this is fine. By turn 3, we're going to have 3 additional draws to try to get a red source. This should be good against everything except for what our previous opponent was doing, assuming we can find an answer for it. Once Upon a Time into Oasis, so this might be the Hardened Skulls deck, or it might be just a green-black aggro list. I'm really waiting for somebody to run Rakshasa Death Dealer. I tried to run it in Demons and Modern, and Demons was just a bad idea. That's another instance of not being able to necessarily brew in Modern. Deadlands, this also could be green-black Eldrazi. Yeah, I mean, I could totally see Eldrazi being an option here. Thought Not Seer might be in my future. Red, red, red. Of course, I want to draw a red land, and I rip a Dig Through Time. Okay, that's actually good. Now I don't have to hold up the Brazen Borrower with my opponent knowing about 2 of them. I can just run out the Search for his Kanta and then actually hopefully filter into something good. God, Pharaoh, Nicol, Bolas. That's a Tireless Tracker. I really need a red source. I don't think I can bid another land. This feels like a pivotal moment. If I bend the land and whiff, I think I just lose. But I can bounce the Tireless Tracker now, and they'll only have 1 clue next turn. Yeah, I think that's the plan. And then I have to bounce this before they untap. Red source would still let me kill Tireless Tracker before they get an additional clue. Oh, this is Field of the Dead. Okay, Unmoored Ego will be coming in from the board. Nope, 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 nope. I want that. That's a good card. And I'm actually super close to being able to cast this Nicol Bolas. I did consider for a moment if I want to bounce my opponent's clue here. If they are having a little bit of a slower start, which 2 of the lands that they drew were off Once Upon a Time, it would make sense. Alright. By the way, the reason they had these lands in here is because they're just differently named. Nope, can't do that. I want to bounce the Tireless Tracker for the tempo at this point. Bend what? The Swamp? Ooh. Do I want Tasker? I actually think I just want to land here. I need to actually start killing my opponent, otherwise I'm going to get run over by these Field of the Dead, so I'm looking for something that can help me cast Nicol Bolas. That can't help me cast Nicol Bolas. Alright, well, I can Swift in the Tireless Tracker next time. Nope, I killed it. I can Swift in the next creature. And Alpha Titan, I could have, but I don't think that was a correct call at the moment. Like, it feels like there's a pretty big difference between making the right call in the moment and learning something after the fact. And just because it was better after the fact doesn't mean that I should have done it in the first place. Alright, they get my Search for his Kanta. Fires is okay. I can't cast Dig Through Time yet, but that will allow me to put a Brazen Borrower in the battlefield. So I can start clocking my opponent, and then I'll have a 2/3 lifelink to start dealing with the zombie tokens that come down. I think we were still a turn too slow because we stumbled on mana here, but this is about as close as it's going to get. Dragon God, Nicol Bolas, +1. Draw a card. Each opponent exiles a card from their hand or a permanent that they control. -3 is destroy target creature or planeswalker, and -8 is each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. I could actually see winning off his ultimate this game. They just had a ton of removal. This seems sweet, though. They've got to be on Assassin's Trophies, Abrupt Decays, Fatal Pushes, Tireless Trackers. I assume there's a Sword Tooth in this list somewhere, but their Zombos are going to be coming down. So, really, deck? Be cool. Be cool, man. Be cool. So close. Just one more land. It doesn't need to be any specific color. Oh, that was a mistake. I was supposed to draw here. I don't think the 4 life would have mattered, but getting out Nicol Bolas would have been great. Okay, they're going to get 4 zombies. Unless they get Field of the Deads, then they're going to get 7. 8. That was close. Okay, maybe I was way off. It was the 2 plus because they got 2 Field of the Deads. All 4 Field of the Deads in play. Pretty sure this is how I die. Well, let's Hail Mary it. I do have Bantu's Last Reckonings I can draw into. The other Dragon God. Alright, well, that means Bolas at least gets to come down. Then Bolas will draw me into a Bantu's Last Reckoning. Nope, another land. So I would have had Bolas out last turn. That was the word I was thinking of. Thank you very much. It's results-oriented thinking. So I get to block one thing. Brazen Borrower can only block creatures with flying, so I have to send this in. So I can actually slam another Bolas and draw another card. I can slam a Bolas and remove one of these, which means they'll get in with 7. Yeah, this actually keeps me alive, so I have to do this. Let's keep the new one. Then we're going to destroy one of the Zombos. The lifelink here should make it so that I stay alive, because one of them will bounce, and then... Am I mathing that right? Going to take 14, but gain 2? Yeah, that seems right. Found another Tireless Tracker. They already have a clue on the table. Westvale Abbey. I didn't see that. Yep, we're dead to the Westvale Abbey activation. I guess we make them do it, but we are super dead. Yep, they're doing it. All right, Unmoored Ego's coming in. We just need to resolve an Unmoored Ego. We are definitely a post-board game. Unmoored Ego. Kefnet's Last Word can steal... I guess that it can't steal that much. Taking a Tireless Tracker would have been good. Oh, thank you. Yes, they did have the... Wait. The black one shrinks a creature. Yeah, I would have gained life. You're correct. But casting Unmoored Ego on Field of the Dead means that they won't get any of the triggers, which means we only have to answer the Tireless Trackers, which seems perfectly acceptable. In this matchup, if we go late enough, we just lose. They are one of the few decks that can go over the top of us, so we're just going to take out the greedy top-end stuff. Then, I'm not actually a fan of the Murderous Riders. Is there anything I want over this one? Probably Jace. Jace can shrink the zombies, giving us twice the amount of time to live. Ral is a little too slow to help us win. Ashiok can actually mill over some of their stuff. Ashiok could be an alt-win condition. I think I just want to take Hour of Promise. I think that's going to be higher priority. Wild Slash can answer Tireless Tracker. I don't think I want a ton of those, though. Bantu's Last Reckoning can buy us a turn, but in our deck, that's probably good enough. Bolas seems fine. Chandra might be a little slow. I could see trimming a Chandra. She is pseudo-card advantage, but again, they're going to go well over the top of us. Seeing one more card with Chandra isn't good enough to keep her in my humble opinion. All right. Let's take the play and hopefully do some nasty stuff. Not going to get mana screwed again, just not going to happen. This Lily's slightly slow, and I don't have any untapped sources on one. But I have a Fires and 2 ways to technically win the game, so I guess we could go for this. Going down to 5 just feels like a death sentence. Yeah, we have a lot of things, like, especially with Fires being at 4 mana, we want check lands instead of fast lands, and I'm not a huge fan of the shadow lands in the bigger decks either. You can pretty easily reveal an additional land type with the shadow lands early in the game, but late in the game they basically just come in untapped, tapped. They come in tapped, which isn't very good when you're making 5 and 4 drops. Opponent keeps their 7. Yep, we'll hang on to this, and I have to tuck something. I want to use the ops to find lands, but I think the turn 3 Lily is one of the few ways we're going to win this, and Bolas is just quite strong. If they don't have any permanents, Bolas can actually just keep them from fielding. Yeah, let's get rid of an opt. After getting mana screwed last game, that doesn't feel right, but I think it's our best line. Plus, opt into any untapped land is going to let us Lily on 3. That's not necessarily an untapped land. Let's opt first. That's a Blood Crypt. So we can put that on top. That won't make Castle Vantress untapped, which is slightly unfortunate, but that means I get a Lily next turn. Alright, and do they have the Oko? Elvish Rejuvenator. Okay. I could see them really liking Gilded Goose. The food can keep them alive, and they can use it as a mana dump later in the game if they're whiffing. Alright, that's another untapped land for Fires. Shrinky Dink the Rejuvenator. And then Bolas will probably just start trading with food tokens every turn, which would be a huge tempo swing for us. Rejuvenators are getting them a lot of lands. Hour of Promise is about to start incoming. They have the Field of the Dead. Okay, I really need an Unmoored Ego here. That's not an Unmoored Ego. Alright, kill that. Untapped land. We're going to Fires. Then I'm just going to run out the other Fires because I don't necessarily need it in my hand, and it's possible that they have Naturalize effects post-board. The next turn I get Castle Vantress. It'll come into play tapped, but I can just start bolusing and getting card advantage. Opponent hasn't started pressuring us yet. If they have the Hour of Promise, Field of the Dead, and Westvale Abbey is going to be a possibility. Never didn't have it. So get 2. It's probably 1 Field of the Dead and 1 of something else. Yep, Fabled Passage. Probably the best 1 of something else they could get. Well, it's a little late for Unmoored Ego. I think we want Bantu's Last Reckoning at this point, just to buy us a turn for Lily to ult. And then we probably generate zombies faster than them after a certain amount of time. Another Fires. For realsies. Alright, we're going to draw. We get a land. Not great for me. Got rid of the Gilded Goose, but yeah, that's not good at all. If I minus Lily and hit anything, I took the Mivs out. Can't cast the Tassiger. Alright, we're just going to shrink and try to buy another turn, and I guess we'll run out Fires of Invention-tron. Castle Vantress is going to need an upkeep stop on my turn, so I can hopefully filter into something that can win us the game. I'm assuming they're going to kill Bolas here. They might actually just chip Lily and Bolas together. Alright, that's a Nissa. Nissa gets Basic Forest. Basic Forest is going to be land for turn. They'll go grab Basic Swamp. They're going to get 3. They're going to get 4 zombies off of that. Then they can flip the Westvale Abbey. Yep. Alright, really need to scry into a Bantu's Last Reckoning. If this would have been gas, that would have been great. I also kept a 2-lander, and we're on turn 5, so I guess it'll be my turn 6. We hit 4 lands in 6 draws. 7 draws, including Bolas. I wanted to hit some, but not all of them. Nissa gets to create the Elemental. Ooh. Nope, good call. They plus looking for a land because the land will just interplay. I am basically on Bantu's or bust. All at Bolas. Makes sense. That's 1 more draw for us. That can draw us out of it. And they even have 3 cards in hand. Oh, I don't have another blue. Alright. I have to find something castable here. Drinking a zombie for a turn's not going to get me there. No creatures, just more lands. Alright, well, opponent gets it. This is very much the Valaka of the format. If you don't have a way to answer their lands with Field of Ruin / Cryptic Command, Crucible of Worlds, like be able to recursively answer it or just unmoored ego it before it starts coming out. Control decks typically don't go over the top, and despite the fact that we are a Bolas Planeswalker deck, we are very much control. Just no counter spells, a lot of kill spells. A lot of Planeswalker activations for card advantage and just board state. Yeah, that's going to be one I don't think we win very often. Which is why there were 3 unmoored egos on the side, and I probably should have mulliganed a little more aggressively for them, but what can you do? Alright, we are on the play. No Thoughtseize, but that's probably fine. Do I want to Shock the Watery Grave? Probably. Shock the Watery Grave, opt on 1, search into Oath into Fires. Yeah, I like all these cards. I love casting all these cards. Yeah, I don't need you anymore. Upkeep stops are tilting. We'll wait until they're in step. This at least looks like Fatal Push. It might play them off tempo a little bit. It's always correct to cast instants the last opportunity you need to. Alright, Steam Vent. So they probably have a similar plan. Hold up Wild Slash or Opt or potentially Spell Pierce. If they Spell Pierce this, I'm going to laugh. I love Spell Pierce, but most people don't like it main board. I usually like to sneak 1 into my control decks if I have room. Murderous Rider. I think at the moment I don't want this. I'm looking for a 4-mana Planeswalker or less. And then may as well go with the untapped land, especially the one that can generate card advantage. If they have a Field of Ruin, this is going to get targeted, but that's fine. If they have a Field of Ruin, they actually might wait for his Kanta. Oh, it was a Stubbs. I was so close. So very, very close. Assuming this is a creature matchup then, so Murderous Rider probably would have been worth hanging on to, but Oath of Jace is going to fix all of our draws next turn. For those of you unfamiliar with it, it's draw 3, discard 2, which is in here partially for our Delve creatures, but partially because we have a good number of Planeswalkers and you get a scry at your upkeep equal to the number of Planeswalkers. This looks like an Izzet Charm, but 100% running Jace's Oath into it. I want Fires to resolve. I don't really care what happens to the Jace. I think I'm going to stick with the Oath of Jace here because I am reading Izzet Charm, and I'd rather Oath of Jace get countered than Liliana. With 2 lands in hand, it could be correct that I'm supposed to run out Lily and try to use Jace to filter into better draws, but yeah, I like this. Stubborn Denial means that they're probably investing in 1 creature of decent value, especially in blue. I want to get rid of 1 of the lands because then I can still cast Bolas, and I can either have Wild Slash or Bantu's Last Reckoning available. I'm guessing that Bantu's isn't going to be very good, just because they'd have to have Young Pyromancer if they're going for that, and they would have ran it out this turn. And even if they have Young Pyromancer, I have Liliana Last Hope in hand, so that's likely not going to be a thing. I'm more afraid of something like Thing in the Ice, which might have been a reason to keep Bantu's Last Reckoning, but it's fine. We'll see what they're up to. Stomp my face. Yep, this guy is very good with Stubborn Denial. Oh, if I want to Lily and Wild Slash that, I'm going to take 4. I mean, if they're tapping out for Bone Crusher Giant here, I'm 100% firing this turn. Alright, Oath of Lily off the top. I believe in you. This hits the spell's controller, right? Yep. Ugh. An additional land makes Castle Lochlane here very, very awkward. It's going to take a little while before I can empty my hand. So they are tapped out at the moment. Am I supposed to take the 4? I'm going to be taking the 4 from the attack anyway, so I think I'm supposed to Lily and Wild Slash here. So let's untap land for free. Liliana. It's a 4/3, so getting -2, -1. We'll put it at 2 toughness. Yeah. Bantu's Last Reckoning seeing Stubborn Denial was probably a mistake. I could have just Fires and Bantu'd there. But next turn I get a Fires, run out of land, hopefully cast something off the top. I will be able to scry with Oath of Jace, assuming opponent doesn't send 4 damage at Lily. And then hopefully we'll just be ahead at that point. We should be activating Planeswalkers and have some action online. Right now, opponent's going to be forced to commit to the board to deal with my Lily. So hopefully Fire should be resolving. Yep, there's a Chandra. I wouldn't mind one of my own. Kozilek's Return. Okay, so this is the Emerge deck. That actually is very telling. They're going to be running the Octopus that taps down 4 permanents. It really doesn't matter with Fires. Come on, big money. Big, big money. I'd love a Bolas here. Dreadbore's fine. It's not the most exciting thing to happen, but it does mean that Fires is coming down. I'm answering the Chandra. And then my Lily gets to stick around. Then next turn I can start activating Castle Lochlane. Should still be scrying with Oath of Jace. If they could have answered my Lily last turn, they likely would have done it. So I'm putting them on having more Planeswalkers or random cards like Kozilek's Return in hand. I am loving this deck, though. This deck is so much fun. All right. Ah, boy. They left up enough for Izzet Charm again. They also left up enough to... Well, they can't cast that. Put on bottom. I don't want the land. Keep stops. They're so tilting. At least let me see my card. Stop in my draw step. This deck can't because they have the Octopus monster that taps things down, so you need to do that in upkeep, but still. Alright, running out Castle Vantress here, partially because it's an activatable ability, but primarily in case they have Izzet Charm, they won't be able to counter my Fires of Invention when it comes down again. Yep, this seems most correct. Then plus Lily. Actually, do I want to look for a Murderous Rider? It'd at least make it so that they can't Brazen Borrower it in step. Growing my graveyard is actually kind of good for dig through time. Interesting. They're just throwing a card away here unless they have something like Pyroblast, or they're expecting me to misclick. I mean, I'd free cast my second spell anyway. If I minus and miss, Brazen Borrower will just kill it, so I guess I can't cast it this turn. I don't know why I keep expecting this to hit the battlefield this turn. It doesn't work that way. That's why I boarded it out in the last matchup, was because it doesn't work that way. Let's see. So I run out my land drop. Is it better to scry 2 or just draw a card and lose a life? Opponent's deck being pseudo burn, I could see potentially not wanting to lose the 1 life during my upkeep. I will already be scrying 1. Alright, they have another Chandra. That can technically start killing me. Rekindling Phoenix. Yep, they can't cast that. So let's see. Lose 2 life, go to 8. That's going to put Chandra on a faster clock. Scry 2 actually gets something castable. I think we cast and make our land drop and then try to draw. Alright, let's scry. Murderous Rider. Lifelink, remove Chandra. I like that. Then they're going to have to Wild Slash Lily or something to stop her from ulting this turn. Also seems pretty good. +1, no targets. I think I'm just going to cast both halves of this. Just so I can get a lifelinker back on the battlefield because I'm going to be going down to 8 against the pseudo burn deck. And then that should give me enough mana to actually scry with Castle Vantrix at their instep. Alright, Swift in. Let's do this correctly this time. Hit Chandra. We go down to 8. Then Murderous Rider gets to come out as a 2/3 lifelinker. Any burn they have has to get pointed at Lily before Murderous Rider. I am really enjoying this deck. It has all the cards I love casting in it, and I'm doing it for free. Okay, yeah, they just scoop it up. Makes sense. Alright, sideboarding. I can name the... I'd have to look up the name of it. The Spaghetti Monster, but I don't think that's very relevant. Raul's coming in. Stealing their creature for free seems fantastic. Kefnet's Last Word, bulk rare, but gain control of target artifact, creature, or enchantment. Lands you control don't untap. But if you have fires, it really doesn't matter. Stealing something like a... I think it's a 5/6 Eldrazi is pretty good. Jace, Architect, Fact of Fiction seems pretty good. Murderous Rider answers Planeswalkers. Thoughtseize can interact with them. I'm not 100% on board with this yet. Ashiok will go unanswered for a little while and might be able to hit something. I put her in the board just because I want to cast her so she gets to come in. Royal Silence comes out. They did show us Brazen Borrower, so I probably want a non-zero number of Wild Slashes, but not too many. If Chandra minuses on our Murderous Riders or our Nicol Boluses, we can answer it with Wild Slash. I think that anything that generates card advantage is going to be pretty solid in this matchup, though. Oath of Liliana. Actually, if they stomp us, this can answer it without targeting it, so I think I want to hang on to that. Last Hope can technically answer some things, and she was our win condition last game, but plussing for no value doesn't seem very good, and picking up a Murderous Rider likely won't happen because when it dies, you put it on the bottom of your library. Is it just one of the Bantu's Last Reckonings? I can't answer Spaghetti Monster at my instep, and then it'll get a free attack in, and then I need an answer for it. But I have Murderous Riders and Dreadbores and Brazen Borrowers and just many things that can touch it. I think it's probably going to be a Wild Slash before Bantu's. I don't know. It feels like we have a lot of good cards for this matchup. Comes into play tapped. We have Fires and multiple 4-drops and a Bantu's we likely can't cast. I like keeping greedy hands, but I don't think I can keep this one. We can do a lot better. And this is actually a lot better. So this is going to be a Dreadboard Tuck. It's going to be an Ashiok on 3 and Fires on 4. I'd prefer having a Search for Azcanta or something cheap that gets value the longer it's out. I'm alright with this. Ashiok plussing can just mill out their library or actually give us something like the Eldrazi that we can just cast for free. Exiling their hand is a pseudo win condition, especially if they're trying to run Dig Through Time. We can grab their graveyard as well, so they just won't be able to delve. Big money, search, opt, nope. Alright, well, Dreadbore... If we get stomped next turn, they have a single land on 7. Oh boy. Well, we might take this, but not in a pretty way. Murderous Rider is fine, since we can't Dreadbore, we're going to put in the tap land. Check lands have been great in this format. I still haven't fully figured out the mana, but I've really enjoyed check lands. Alright, there's a tap land. So, what are the odds that I get stubbed here? If I get Stubborn Denial on Ashiok, that's probably fine because that means Fires is likely resolving next turn. We draw the 6-mana Niv. One of these days we'll cast you. One of them. Alright, calling Stub. Calling it. No? Come on. Don't stub my Ashiok. I don't get a caster all that often. I love this card. I just don't get it casted all that often. Oh, they just called there. Yeah, they don't have an answer for Ashiok. And they're a little slow starting out. Alright, well, we moved to 2-2. I still wouldn't say that this deck is good. It's definitely a fun deck, but I am thoroughly enjoying it. All of these cards are fantastic. Alright, well, we will play first. We need lands. So tuck a Lily. I could see not tucking a Lily and tucking a land, but if they don't answer our Lily, this hand has no threats. Yeah, let's tuck the redundant land. I need double black, so let's get rid of this guy. Being on the play, we have a little bit of time to actually solve something. If opponent thought seizes us, we just lose, more than likely with this hand. If they can find something like a Dreadbore, then we'll at least have a backup. I think Thoughtseize is the bigger concern, though. Blood-Soaked Champion. Alright, so this is the mono black aggro list. It's probably the best deck in the format at this point. They are going to use things like Smuggler's Copter and Scrap Heap Scrounger to just recursively buy back these two and just commit really hard into it. They're going to have a lot of recursive threats, so removal's not going to be great. Lily is going to be one of the best cards in this matchup. Just because we can keep shrinking this and then hopefully stop them from attacking or get rid of any of their other little dudes that won't survive. Yep, there's a Smuggler's Copter. So Lily's likely going to start getting chipped in at for 3. We're going to need to find a way to win fairly quickly here. I believe we will find another land before too long, so I'm going to bin this in hopes of finding a Fires. Or just another land, I suppose that works too. Then we'll get rid of the Blood-Soaked Champion. They'll get another creature into play, crew up the Copter, and then attack and use the raid ability to buy this guy back. Really need to find something that either blocks for a while, like a Nicol Bolas, or something that can close out the game relatively quickly. A Chandra would probably be okay. I don't think K-Command ever made it into our list, but that's something I'd also really like to see. Where's that going? Is that going at me? Okay, opponent has no fear for the Liliana. No, it is going after Lily. I don't know why that wasn't highlighting the arrows for me. So Dreadbore's not going to be instant speed. That's bad. We actually had 2 pretty decent cards for our current situation, and they get their pick. I'd assume they take Bantus just because it stops them from overcommitting pretty hard. Oh, no. They actually are respecting the Lily. I mean, it does make sense. Yeah, I don't want those lands. Geez, what am I supposed to do here? I think I'm supposed to shock this into play. Nope, that doesn't work. If I clear the Scrap Heap Scrounger and they don't have a creature in their 3 cards, it means that my Lily's going to survive for another turn, but it also means I'm shocking myself down in the aggro matchup. Bantus will also put another thing into our yard, so we're closer to flipping the search. I can Wild Slash a new creature coming down, but with Wild Slash on the stack, they can crew. Alright, I think we just have to say goodbye to Lily here. If they don't run out another creature next turn, it's going to feel bad, but this Blood-Soaked Champion is going to be coming back, which means I can use Bantus to at least get a 2-for-1 post-combat if they go with this line, or they run out a new creature for the Smuggler's Copter. 100% going to Wild Slash that. I don't want to have to deal with a recursible threat. Not recursible, sorcery speed threat. I don't have a lot of answers to it in my deck. Lily is going to die here. I'll be taking one, and they'll be buying back the Bloodsoak Champion. They also potentially get to loot another Scrap Heap Scrounger, another Bloodsoaked into the bin with this discard. Yeah, this is definitely an annoying deck to play against. Our Ashioks from the sideboard will be coming in for this matchup. The disrespect. They're discarding Planeswalker removal. Alright, Lily's in the bin, so we need 2 more to flip our Search for Azcanta. I found another Smuggler's Copter. Wild Slash. I'm actually just going to take this and kill the Scrap Heap Scrounger because they're going to have to exile the... I guess they can exile the Murderous Rider now to bring it back. But I'm just trying to buy as much time for myself as possible, and the next mill's going to flip Search for Azcanta so we can start looking for a win condition. Hitting turn 5 with 17 life feels pretty viable to continue going. And if they don't have good creatures, they're going to not be able to crew the Smuggler's Copters. Yeah, Castle Locklan's just so much card advantage. Now they get a crew up and then buy back the Bloodsoak Champion. Or just cast a new one. Threats aplenty. I'm trying to figure out right now if I want to just flip Search for Azcanta and look for Fires of Invention, or if I just want to fire off the Bantu's Last Reckoning to kind of alleviate some pressure on myself. If we whiff on the Fires, then I mean, even if we hit the Fires, we're going to be another turn out. We're currently taking 6. Next turn, we'll likely be taking at least 6, probably 8. Bantu's is going to set us back 2 full turns, though. Dig Through Time. No, I actually really want this because I can exile pretty much all of my graveyard and hopefully find a Fires in the next turn. Oh, nope, I'm going to have to tap out again this turn. Alright, well, I need to find something here. I'm working off of hypotheticals, and this gives me my best shot of finding something playable. Worst case, I just grab a land in Bantu's, and then that buys me 2 turns. Brazen Borrower can bounce a... Well, I know it's going to be these 2. And then I'll bounce one of the Smuggler's Copters in after they crew it. Yeah, I think this is our best line, and the next turn can be Fires into Bantu's Last Reckoning. So we might only be taking 3 here. Probably more like 5, but potentially 3. Search is also kind of far from flipping at this point, so we are at the mercy of the top of our deck, but we're gonna combo them. Night Market Lookout. Okay, that's gonna ping us every time that it crews a Smuggler's Copter, and it means that probably the Scrap Heap Scrounger is getting in this turn. So we're gonna be taking 6, and then we need to find an... Oh, well, we're gonna board clear it, so... I'm bouncing this now because the cost has already been paid. I have a beginning of combat step, but really just don't care. Going to get my F6 value. If they don't have another land, they can't activate Castle Locklane this turn. They know about the Bantu's Last Reckoning, so they're likely not going to commit another creature to the table. They're discarding a lot of lands, though. Alright. Empty-handed. They must have forgot about my Bantu's Last Reckoning. That's about the only thing I can think of. 100% bidding that for the moment. Fires. Oh, come on. Be cool. Auto Tapper, just give me the red. Okay, cast with Fires of Invention. Then I'm running out the land just because we do have like a Bolas coming in the future. If we find something like another dig through time, probably just Chandra, and we flip a Bolas off the top, or we find a land, then we want to have more lands out for the Fires of Invention. This is potentially one of the best cards in their deck. Oh, they get crew up both? Lame. Alright, they're going to crew both Copters and attack in. Not too bad for a game one, though, for an aggressive matchup. Ashiok comes in to get rid of their yard. The other board clear comes in. The shrink all your creatures comes in. And this probably isn't worth it. I could steal their Smuggler's Copter, or I could steal a Knight of the Ebon Legion after it grows a ton, but they're just very low to the ground and don't care. I think, again, we have to take out the greedy top half of our deck. I like running these in the main board in case I get to cast them, but every time we sideboard, it's just the card that doesn't fit. Royal Scions can fill our yard. I'm just not impressed when I can't actually get the target creature mode on it as well. Murderous Rider could be a consideration. At least the Murderous Rider half of it, having lifelink and being a 2/3 is quite relevant in this matchup. I don't like the fact that Bontus kills it, but you have to make some considerations. Oath of Jace might be a little greedy here. 2 more cuts. What are we thinking? Oath of Lily isn't very good. Them sacking a creature doesn't really mean a whole lot. The 2/2s can be beneficial. Have a good one. Thanks for sticking around tonight. Good luck on your test. Let's see. What do I care about? Might just be an opt. It fuels the yard, kind of filters our draws, but if I'm filtering, we're probably not winning. I could see trimming something on the higher end. Brazen Borrower is actually pretty good tempo here, as well as block Smuggler's Copter. Tasker is just a fat butt on the ground. I like fat butts, especially in aggressive matchups. Might just be 1 Murderous Rider. Yeah, let's only bring in 1 Murderous Rider from the board. I think this looks pretty solid. We will play first. Yeah, so this is fine. The land sequencing is going to be a little weird here. I want to get out the Fumarole as soon as possible, but the Watery Grave entering tap is going to save us 2 life. Then we get to Iskanta and then Dreadbore with the tap land, and then hopefully untap Fires and Chandra. This hand is quite gorgeous, though. I like it. 10 out of 10. Would draw again. Yes, you are some pretty Magic cards. Alright, hopefully opponent doesn't explode too hard. I mean, we should at most be taking 2 damage here on turn 1. Yep, it's looking like 2 damage on turn 1. Alright, well that's our fourth land, so that's pretty good. Alright, there's Search. So hopefully filter into... Honestly, doesn't matter. I'm likely Dreadboring here and tap landing. I guess something like Godpharaoh Bolas would be decent. Bontu's Last Reckoning would also be pretty good. Do not want another Search, though. Not in the market for that one. Alright, so let's take off the 3 damage from the table, especially because they don't have something to bring it back yet. Scrap Heap's cost is exiling another creature from the yard. And sadly, I think that's the game that we're playing, is make sure they don't keep creatures in their yard. Maybe Ashiok would have been a better turn 3 play, but Ashiok would have just died. No! Our one weakness! Discarding our combo. Alright, well, I suppose that had to happen. Oh my gosh, they had both discards? That is disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. We probably don't have a shot now. We're going to have to draw very well. Opt. It's not going to flip our Iskanta. Opt will get us 1 card deeper, but if we find a 4-drop, we won't be able to cast it. I think we're going to be binning that because we have multiple 4-drops that we care about. And that's probably good. I mean, Lily's going to get attacked by the Mutavault, but Shrinky Dink. I can totally expect to see opponent attack with the Mutavault and bring back the Bloodsoak Champion next turn if their 3 cards in hand aren't very good. Wandering Fumarole is going to be able to start protecting Lily as a 1/4, which seems pretty relevant. Search for his Kanto will be flipping in 2 turns, more than likely. This Kanto flipping should be able to draw us into our combo, or at least some good Planeswalkers here. Castle Locklane is activatable from the opponent, but most of their deck is under 3 CMC. I think Swift Rider is one of the few things over it. So I'm expecting Mutavault attack, bring back Bloodsoak Champion, or just hand dump. They know we drew the Lily. Yeah, I could see a number of things. Ashiok at this exact moment is probably not very good. They'll just exile Bloodsoaked and get back Scrap Heap. We'll just hit 2 Duresses. That double Duress was painful, though. We could have had a Chandra and a Fires this turn. It still probably actually would have been Fires and Lily. Running out Chandra, we probably would have plussed, otherwise she would have just died, and then she would have taken 4 damage between the Bloodsoaked and the Mutavault. Alright. Yep. Lily takes the pain. If they bring back Bloodsoaked here, it actually just dies to Lily, so they might be going for Scrap Heap if they're not casting from hand. Yeah, it's hard to believe they'd have a castle out and not cast from hand. Alright, they just found one. Unfortunately, need to cast that, despite the fact it exposes my Lily. Turns on future combos and future draws, so Fires out, and then they get to kill Lily with the Mutavault and the Scrap Heap, and we're trying to find card advantage. Chandra off the top would be fantastic. Dig Through Time would be fine, although it would exile our Yard. Rankle. Alright. So they can force us to draw and discard, but that actually actively helps us. It's a good thing we emptied our hand. That's actually going to hit Lily, so it's not going to activate Rankle. Yep. Bantus would be pretty good here still. We do get a flip search now that Lily's down, though. Oh my gosh. I don't think I can get rid of that. They just have way too much recursion. I really want to flip search because I can activate and then find something good off the top like a Bantus and just clear the board. But this is going to be one of the few pieces that actually stop their recursion, so yeah, alright, let's draw it. Then I at least get to use Wandering Fumarole to block. Unfortunately, turns on my opponent's Fatal Pushes, but I assume they have to take those out post-board. And I'm getting the 2 creatures while I can. They're going to have to send all 3 creatures at Ashiok this turn, so at the bare minimum, it's also a gain 8. I guess I can just send... No, because if they see the Fumarole, I won't be able to block the... Alright, let's see what you do, opponent. I assume it all goes at Ashiok, except for maybe one of these 2 goes at me. Probably the Mutavault, because it would survive. It's all going at me. I cannot block the Bloodsoak Champion and permanently get rid of it. They can pay to bring it back. So likely just going to save the 3 life. Besides, next turn I get to activate Search, so should find something like a Bantu's Last Reckoning and then activate Ashiok. I guess they can make a sack. That might have been a good reason to hit the Bloodsoaked Champion. Yep, yep. So they sack the Bloodsoaked Champion, then they bring it back. Oh, my bad. I had to click on that. Didn't realize that was mine. And guess we see what was in their hand. Mutavault's still going to be a problem long term. Like, Bontus won't clean that up. But we get a... Oh my gosh. I think I want that. I'm still going to be able to flip Search. I can actually cast the Chandra. And if I find God Bolas, I'm good. Yeah, let's keep this and transform. I think that this gives me more information, so I need to Visconta first. Chandra will reveal one card. This will reveal 4. Really? Alright. Well, that might be game then. I cannot cast during their turn. I can Wild Slash the Scrap Heap, but I'm going to see what Chandra reveals for me. Alternatively, I kill Rankle, I kill this, exile their yard, I'm on the table for 4, and then I have an active Chandra and Ashiok. That actually might be correct. Yeah, Rankle's too good, and it actually put me to 1, which is significantly more deadly. So let's kill Rankle. We'll Wild Slash this guy. Eat the yard, and then they're on top decking Rankle. And honestly, they might need to go after Chandra if they don't have Rankle. I mean, at the very least, it's been a good game. I don't have any life gain, though, so Castle Lock Lane's not a draw. They also probably have something worth casting because they tapped the Lock Lane. Okay, going after me. I mean, I don't have a good answer for the Mutavault aside from running out my own creature. Yep, that's pretty good. I was actually hoping to draw my own. Opt. Opt is terrible here. It just counts as a spell cast. Part of the reason I didn't want it in the deck, but I felt like I needed it to filter. Oh boy. So I think that means I'm dead. I can take the Dreadbore. I can Dreadbore the Bloodsoaked Champion. I think that means I have to opt into exactly Murderous Rider. Nope, not a land. Castle Vantrix. I mean, I can cast the Dreadbore, but I'm dead. Alright, GG's opponent. This is a very punishing deck that the opponent's running. Like, they just have so much ability to grind and actually draw the cards, and they never activated this once, but if we get them to the point where they're running out of gas, they just activate Castle Lock Lane and then just continue to beat down. If we wouldn't have answered their graveyard, Scrap Heap Scrounger comes back at the cost of any of these creatures in the yard. Night Market Lookout is technically some reach. Smuggler's Copter is just really good. We saw how hard it was to answer the Mutavault and the Smuggler's Copter at sorcery speed when our deck is Fires of Invention, so we don't really emphasize putting instants into the deck. Kalitas is just really good. I don't know. Were we very close to anything that could end the game? Another activation of Visconta would have found us Bontu's Last Reckoning and a ton of lands. I don't know. There's Jace, Dig Through Time. All right, well, went 2-3. The cards not being shown here right now are the flip and split cards, Search for Visconta, Swift End, Murderous Rider. I think that's it. Overall, though, the deck is rather expensive. It's got a lot of Planeswalkers in it, a lot of big EDH cards. If I'm going to be looking at tuning this at all, it would probably be take out the cards that were obviously fun-ofs in the deck. Let's actually switch back to this guy for a moment. The Niv Mizzets, as cute as it is to have the 6 mana hard to cast Niv in here just for fires because it's easier to cast spells with fires if you get to 6 lands. That's not in there. This actually seems like a decent fun of. You'd cast it for free off of fires, and as long as you have blue and red, you can ping and draw a card and just make sure that you constantly have activations or cards to cast for your fires off of Niv Mizzet's activations. At 6 mana and 2 to activate, I don't believe this is a good card though. I do think having another Tasker is fine, spending 1 mana for Tasker if you don't have fires out, or being able to dump mana into his activated ability feels quite good. Dig Through Time might just be Treasure Cruise. I'm not a huge fan of even having 4 delves, so if we're going to do this, it's probably this split. I really wanted to find fires to showcase off in the video though, so I went with 2 Dig Through Times, but this might be correct. This is just a way to find fires, and then Tasker is actually a creature that's a threat that can stick around. Royal Scions did not perform very well. I really did like Dreadbore, but the other card that I would really consider is Kolaghan's Command. Let's do Command. 3 mana, you can pick up a Tasker, a Bolas, a Murderous Rider. You can make them discard at instant speed. Destroying an artifact would have come up a couple of times this game, and 2 damage was also relevant when we were a control matchup, so I could see some number of these. Oath of Liliana, I actually have been really excited with this card, but if we are trimming down on our Planeswalkers, it looks like we're down to 6 at the moment. That's probably not worth it. Neither is Oath of Jace. Oath of Jace, if you really want to be cheeky, Monastery Siege does something kind of similar. It allows you to loot every turn. I do think Search for Azcanta is best in that slot. You might only have 2 places to dedicate for it, but I do think there's a value to filling the yard with this deck. Bolas was actually pretty good here, and you can use his mana to transform after fires. 1 of him probably feels like the sweet spot. Just really good 2 for 1 value. He's also really good with K Command if we go up on these. Wild Slash is still the best removal in the format. With all the Nivs in the deck, I was playing with Draconic Roar because people assume you to be running Wild Slash, and Draconic Roar hits for 3. I don't know, there are just some thoughts. Oath of Lily, Oath of Jace can probably come out. And I'd probably sure up, like, I could even see Thing in the Ice being okay in this slot down here. It's one of the best cards in the format, and it just does so much for what he is. Being able to flip it at instant speed with any of your instant speed interactions feel pretty good. Bantu's Last Reckoning isn't necessarily good there. On that note, Kefnets was just... I really wanted to get somebody with this, but it didn't happen. Most people are running efficient creatures already in this format, trying to speed it up, so 4 mana Steal Your Thing probably isn't good enough. Factor Fiction Jace is actually quite good as well. He could probably get into the main board. Ral has a soft spot in my heart. I do think that Murderous Rider is one of the better cards in this format, so he probably sticks around. Our matchups tonight that we lost were the Mono Green, the Mono Black, and Field of the Dead, though, which is about where Control's going to end up. And I think that we filled this pretty well, but I just loved casting most of the cards in this deck. But anyways, guys, that is it. Again, kind of expensive in Pioneer. I am thirteene, though. I do a bunch of fun decks for a site called Squirrel Dealer. We have a full history of about 8 months of fun decks, recently in Pioneer, historically in Modern, and they're all up on YouTube. Feel free to go check it out. Feel free to like, subscribe, follow, all the usual streamer stuff. My schedule is over on the left. At some point in the future, we're probably going to have Brad One streaming more competitive decks in the near future, but really appreciate you hanging around, and have a good night, everybody.